Hello, this is TurboDog702, and welcome to the Castlevania Lords of Shadow Any % New Game Plus speedrun tutorial. In this section of the tutorial, we will be talking about some of the basic combat options that will be available to you, and some of the basic maneuvers that you are going to be using continuously throughout the course of the speedrun. The first thing that we're going to be looking at here is the direct attack combo. This is your very basic square combo. It hits very quickly, does fairly good damage to a single target. The ending hit can also break guards. It has quite a bit of range on it. It won't control groups of enemies, but then again, it's kind of hard to control groups of enemies inside of Lord of Shadow. It's also noteworthy that you can cancel into the direct heavy combo as shown there, or into other moves as well, as part of the basic ground combo. Some application, but you'll use other things most of the time. The next thing that we're going to be talking about is going to be the direct heavy combo. This is done by basically pressing square and then holding square and kind of doing a press-hold combo on there, kind of elongating your presses. This is your highest damage, non-resource intensive attack pattern. It does take quite a bit of time to come out. It will stagger some lighter enemies and sometimes get some staggers on larger ones. You can also start it from in the middle of your normal direct attack combo as stated before. Here we're going to be discussing launches, or launching moves. These are done by doing an attack and then pressing jump to launch up. This is our area attack launcher, known as the Rising Assault. This is the one that you're probably going to be using the most often. You can double jump after it, as shown here. This is your primary launcher of choice due to the amount of height that it gains. So practice it, get used to it, get an idea of how you move while you're doing it, and just get used to the situations. Here we're going to see a comparison of jump height with our double jump and our Rising Assault jump. Rising Assault gets about another half to a full character height. Contrast that with the Rising Strike, which is done by doing a square and then an X, or a direct attack and then jump. This allows you to be able to go forward slightly during your jump launch. This is useful for a couple of techniques where you need to basically launch off of a cliff and gain a little bit of horizontal motion to facilitate a skip. Get used to that as well. It's also probably what you're going to be using out of a Guillotine launch, which is what we're going to be getting to next and talking about. You'll notice that it gives you less height than with the Rising Assault. This is the Guillotine combo. This is accomplished by jumping into the air and then holding direct attack. If you continue to hold direct attack, you'll get a follow-up that's like an uppercut. This move does quite a bit of damage and occupies a lot of space in front of you. Enemies tend to have a hard time dealing with you when you jump in the air as well, so it's a fine combo. Another important aspect of it is you can do launches after the first attack or after the uppercut as well, which will be useful when you start climbing surfaces using Guillotine, which I'll show you a little preview of here. This is part of one of the skips inside of the Chromatic Laboratory. Notice that when I use the Guillotine, it has me stick onto a section of geometry there, and I can immediately double jump after that. Here I'm showing that in some cases you can even stand on thin air using this technique, which will be used for a few skips here and there. This section is going to be discussing the air grab. Grab will take priority over interactables in the area, as in here I'm being stopped from using the interactable grapple point on the right side of the screen. You need to keep this in mind to prevent yourself from getting into dangerous situations where you can get locked out of interactables to proceed. As a side note, air grabbing a small enemy tends to have some anti-gravity properties, but that's more an oddity than anything. This next move is Ultimate Light. You can activate Ultimate Light by pressing your Light Magic button and holding it for an extended time. It occupies a huge amount of area, does a lot of damage, and drains health. It can be used to quickly dispatch enemies. Ideally, you want to try to corner enemies, such as what happens with Olrox here, so that you get the maximum amount of hits. Otherwise, they might get pushed out of the range of Ultimate Light. Here we're seeing a preview of a skip that occurs inside of the Titan Graveyard. You can actually use Ultimate Light to float over swamp-type terrain, such that you find in the Titan Graveyard or in the swamp earlier on inside of Chapter 1. This same technique can also be used in order to fly over webs and other sorts of difficult terrain. Lastly, we have Ultimate Shadow. Ultimate Shadow is activated by pressing your Shadow button and holding it. You then press a direction on the stick in order to direct it. You can go in any direction. Time slows down usually when you initiate it. It does lots of damage. Ultimate Light is your second or first best damaging move, depending on if you can get enemies into a corner. Ultimate Shadow does more damage per hit, but the slowdown during it makes all the difference. Thank you for watching this combat and combo primer for the Castlevania Lords of Shadow Any% New Game Plus speedrun tutorial. See you next time.